Welcome back to Conversations with a Psychic. Today, we're diving into one of the most requested and mysterious topics yet: ghosts, spirits who don't cross over after death, hauntings, and what really happens when souls stay behind. Welcome, friends, to the gathering place of angels in light. Today's episode: Ghosts, why some souls don't cross over. We are Angels in Light, based in Kansas. I am Kim, the co founder of Angels in Light. I am an angelic Reiki master and past life hypnotherapist.
And I'm Patty, a lifelong psychic medium with a master's in psychology and a mission to combine the esoteric with the science and help people to ground that into reality.
So, Patty, you've had a lot of personal experiences with this, right?
Probably more than I expected when I first opened up spiritually. This is one of those topics people are deeply fascinated by because so many people have had experiences they can't explain. Seeing shadows, hearing things, sensing someone in a room, dreaming about loved ones after they pass. And I think deep down, people want to know, are ghosts actually real? And from my experiences, yes, but not in the exaggerated Hollywood way people often think. Most spirits that stay behind are not evil. Usually they're confused, emotionally attached, scared, traumatized, or simply don't realize they've died. And honestly, some of the most emotional spiritual experiences have involved helping spirits cross over for me. And I want to approach this topic with compassion instead of fear.
Well, that is a wonderful thing to do today on our podcast. So, what happens after death? What do you really believe happens immediately after someone dies?
So, in my experience with talking with multiple souls over the years, I believe the soul separates from the physical body, but consciousness continues. So, most people immediately experience peace. They see the loved ones, the guides, the light, and they have this overwhelming sense of love and release. But death doesn't instantly erase personality or emotional energy. You're still you. If someone dies terrified or angry or addicted, or they're shamed or deeply attached to something here, sometimes they struggle to transition. And I think people assume death automatically makes everyone enlightened instantly. But
Yeah.
many spirits initially carry the same emotional state they had while alive. And that's where spirits can become stuck.
So you don't get out of everything that you've created by leaving your body.
Yes, sometimes spirits simply don't know how to move on. They have this attachment to this plane if they're, have that trauma and they don't know, they can't release that. They have a hard time doing that.
So why would someone not go into the light? I mean, I would think that if I saw the light, I would want to go to the light.
Sudden traumatic deaths can leave spirits confused. Others refuse to leave loved ones.
Hmm.
Parents may stay around the children or vice versa. The children will stay around the parents. Partners attached to spouses. A lot of people fear judgment or punishment. They have been so conditioned to have this fear that their sins will be, they're going to go to hell or they're going to be judged, that they see that light and they're going, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
And addiction is another major reason. They have attachments to earthly habits, physical experiences, substances, or guilt or shame. They're stuck emotionally and they just turn away from the light.
Hmm. You mentioned shame and emotional heaviness. Can emotions really trap our souls?
I absolutely think emotions affect spiritual energy and spirits can become trapped in loop. And I call it the anger shame spiral. So it's
Mhm.
anger, regret, grief, obsession, and self-hatred. And it's a loop of reliving emotional pain repeatedly. And it's a spiral. And time functions differently on the other side. I think we touched on that before,
Mhm.
that a year on the other side could be a minute here
Mhm.
in the 3D world. So when there's ghosts or there's spirits, they don't realize that they've been there for years and years and years. To them, it could just be minutes.
I see.
And they can remain hyper focused on how they died, what they lost, unfinished business. And that lower emotional state creates energetic heaviness and they get trapped. And the only way that they can get out of it is healing and forgiveness. It's incredibly important spiritually for them to make raise their vibration high enough to go to that light and to cross over.
Wow. So, what was one of the first experiences that made you truly believe in ghosts?
So my first recollection when I was a little girl was playing with a little girl that was trapped in my closet and not even realizing that she had passed over. It was a little girl. I believe that she was, because I lived in the Sierra Nevada mountains with the gold rush. And she looked like, one of those little pioneer Oregon Trail girls with the
Mhm.
bonnet and the white dress. But she never mentioned that she was passed over. I didn't even realize she was passed over. And we would just play together. I'd read her stories and we would play games. And
Mhm.
it was just a part of my family.
Did she seem confused or happy or sad?
No, she was just there. She was curious. She would love to play with me. And it was just another sister, another sibling to me.
So, did she stay in the closet all the time, or would you randomly see her in your bedroom?
She would be in my bedroom too. And looking back on what I've learned over the years, I mean, obviously she probably died in that on that land, and
Mm-hmm.
her energy was probably stuck in that land. Eventually, from what I've learned, the angels will come get her. So she probably had an attachment to being either missing her parents or not realizing she's passed. There was something holding her back.
Have you ever thought about going back to that home you once lived in and seeking
Yes,
a sense of her being there?
if she's still there. I know. I mean, it's kind of awkward. We're going to do knock on the door and be like, "Can I get rid of your ghost for you?"
Or, hey, I just want to know if could I think I left something here.
I know. But yes, that was my first experience. So of course she's always on my mind.
So how about you, Patty? You and I have talked many times about topics such as this, and I think you have a personal experience of being a ghost.
I do. So there is something called quantum healing hypnosis therapy, QHHT,
Mm-hmm.
as the word canon, and you're very well experienced with this since you practice it.
Yes, I do.
About 5 years ago, I had a session, and the whole session was about one life. So these sessions usually last 2 to 4 hours, and the whole 3 hours was one life of me reliving myself as a ghost. And I was told that's why I have such an affinity and can see and communicate with them because I actually lived that.
Oh my.
I know.
And how many in human years were you a ghost?
About 400.
Wow.
It was in North America before the colonization. And I
Mm-hmm.
was a Native American in a tribe. I think on the plains,
Mm-hmm.
might have been even Kansas. Yeah, that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
so connected to Kansas.
That's
I haven't
interesting.
really looked at that. That's interesting now to say
But
that. Huh? Huh. Imagine
aha.
that. But, um, we were a tribe, and I was the medicine man for the whole tribe.
Hmm.
If they didn't have the written things where they wrote stuff down. It was all oral. And I gave all my teachings to my son. Well, he ended up dying young. And
Oh,
I was getting older and I was trying to teach my grandson everything. And I ended up getting sick and dying before I could pass on all the lore and the teachings from generations. And so I remember crossing over and being so upset and angry that I didn't have that opportunity and all this knowledge was lost. And I knew it was going to affect my tribe, that they were going to be hurt by this. And so I remember seeing the light and turning away and being like, no, I need to pass this knowledge on somehow, some way to help my people. after turning away, I tried communicating with my grandson and people in the tribe, and no one could hear me.
Ah,
And the bitterness and the anger and the shame and the guilt, I even had guilt for dying, was so intense and just kept coming on me and getting more and more and more that I just got stuck in this grief and anger and guilt and shame and until I was just blind to everything.
wow.
That's why I call it the shame spiral, because you're just caught in it and you don't
Mhm.
see a way out, and it just keeps attracting that energy over and over and over. And I remember just watching generations just grow up in front of me and just trying to scream at them and watching
Ah,
them struggle and knowing that there's a certain plant that could have helped heal someone and watching them die because
oh,
they didn't have
mm,
that knowledge, because it was my fault.
yeah. Self-punishment.
All self-inflicted. And eventually, that's why I
Mm.
said earlier with the little girl, eventually my guides and angels said, okay, she's not
Enough.
getting it. It's time to go rescue. And they came down and pulled me up and put me in a healing pod. And they said, you learned your lesson. You were not getting out of it. And we gave you enough free will to try to
Hmm.
work yourself out of that, but it
Hmm.
wasn't happening. So we pulled you out.
They're like, we
So
can't watch this anymore.
we can't. No.
No,
And
no. This.
eventually they will come and help. Like if they're there hundreds of years and they're just not moving and stuck,
Mhm.
eventually the angels and guides will get them.
Do you think that yours is more of an extreme situation?
No, I
Okay.
think it's very, very common. I mean, you see or hear of stories of ghosts that are,
Mhm.
from the 1600s, 1500s. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of years that they're there.
Yeah.
It's common. It is,
Okay.
unfortunately.
So, how do spirits communicate with people?
Mostly through the energy first. People expect ghosts to appear visually all the time, but honestly, communication is usually emotional or energetic. So you might suddenly feel they can project emotions, sadness, anxiety that isn't yours. They try
Okay.
to affect your body because that is the easiest thing for them to do that doesn't take up a lot of energy. Temperature changes, pressures in the room, tingling, stuff like that. And then the longer they're there and the more they are in that spiral, that shame anger spiral, the
Mm-hmm.
more that they can manipulate energy because they no longer have physical bodies. Biggest one they could do is electrical because that's
Oh,
energy. So electrical disturbances. So like flickering light,
okay.
like the TV going on and off or changing channels, your radio getting louder, and then like sounds and knockings and objects moving. Objects moving is really the hardest one for them to do because it takes so much energy.
Does it have to be a spirit that's been trapped here to be able to influence electrical energy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's not like if, your spouse passes and they go to the light, 7 days later. During that 7 days, they're not that quote unquote powerful.
They honestly could do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for them to. It would take a lot of energy out of them unless there was something dire or like they're trying to save you or, something that they really needed to get your attention. But for them, honestly, it's easier for them to communicate with animals, like send you a bird or a butterfly
Oh, okay.
or make you notice something. Like they can turn your attention. So like, if there's a rainbow, they'll be like, "God, look at the rainbow. Look at it."
Oh, so all of a sudden you turn your head and see the rainbow. Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Right at that same moment that you needed
Right at
to.
that same moment, they can do the synchronicities and pull on the strings for you to,
That's just
notice
beautiful.
things or they can put on songs on the radio, that
Mm,
would have like a special meaning,
mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But as far as like the physical flickering of the lights and the coldness, that's earthbound spirits. And then there's a difference between residual hauntings and intelligent spirits, which I think a lot of people are not aware of. So residual hauntings are more like energetic recordings. So trauma, if they're like imprints. So trauma can imprint into a place almost like emotional residue.
I see.
So, for example, like footsteps every night at the exact same time, a figure repeatedly walking the same hallway. It's not necessarily a conscious spirit, it's more like energy replaying on a loop. So, intelligent hauntings are different. Those spirits are aware, they respond, they interact, they're
Yeah.
attempting communication. Some haunted places feel deeply emotional rather than scary. I think people are more scared of the intelligent hauntings
Yeah.
because they're, interacting with you. But the residual, that's the ones where you just feel creepy and you're like, oh, this place is not fun. I don't want to stay here overnight.
So the crystal shop we visited in Missouri, and you guys went next door, and it was once a
Yes, and it was an old mortuary.
yeah.
And we didn't
So
know that.
yes.
They had the bathroom next door, and she gave us the key, and we walked in, and the whole hallway to the bathroom was just full of ghosts. I was shoving them to the side, right and left, and I had no idea why they were there. They were just, it was completely full. And when we came back to the crystal shop, I told the owner that, I
Uh-huh.
said, what is happening next door? And she's like, oh, that used to be a mortuary. I'm like, oh, okay. That explains that.
So would that be residual or an intelligent haunting?
Intelligent.
Okay, they need to find the light.
Yes.
And so the Native American spirit that you see walking my backyard, intelligent, haunting, or residual?
That was intelligent also. Got lost. And they're trying to find their way home. And so they're just walking back and forth. It was a family with their
Mm.
horses walking back and forth trying to find their home. So I'm not sure what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they won't talk to me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. A lot of times, they're so wrapped up in their loop that they won't be aware of you or talk to you. An intelligent being that is stuck here, they're just like us. If they're introvert or extrovert,
Mm.
or they have, what is the reason they're stuck here? Like if they have trauma from a being killed, and they want to
Mhm.
find their killer, they're gonna try to communicate. But if they're stuck here because of another reason, and they're so trapped in their own energy of shame or guilt, like, for religious reasons, or like it was a monk that committed suicide, and they have
Oh,
all that shame and anger and guilt for themselves because they're scared to go to the light because they think they're going to go to hell.
gotcha.
Well, they're going to draw that energy on themselves and they're not going to want to talk to anyone. They're like us. They're our energy. It's just on a different plane. It's just a different energetic frequency.
So when we were in Glastonbury and you guys were at the restaurant,
Mhm.
the spirit monk, he did communicate with you, didn't he?
He looked at me, yeah, and he communicated. That was different though. He didn't kill himself. He was killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he talked to me all about making cheeses.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. He loved explaining how he made cheese, and he was just stuck in that place because he had a traumatic ending and got killed and didn't want to cross over for whatever reason his reason was. And so I would say every time I talk to them, I ask them if they want to move over. Do you want to cross over? 80% of the time they go no.
So why do spirits haunt houses or land specifically?
Trauma, attachment, or identity. Some people spend their entire lives in one home and become emotionally connected to it,
Mm-hmm.
or others died suddenly there. And land also carries energy. So places with intense emotional events can hold spiritual heaviness for years. That goes back to the residual hauntings, or and some places honestly have lower vibrations in general. And I've
Hmm.
noticed if a lot of spirits die in one place, they happen to attract more people to not cross over. Let's say France. When I went to France, that was one of the most haunted places, Paris. A lot of people over a lot of years have died there. And when someone passes away and they're going
Hmm.
into the light, if that energetic frequency of where they pass is already heavier, it's easier for them to stay.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yes. New Orleans. New Orleans is another place. For some reason, there's been a lot of spirits that have not decided not to leave, and that residual energetic imprint is in the area already. And so it kind of helps spirits to stay. I don't know how else to describe that.
Yeah, I get it. Never knew that. There are other people like me there, and I can communicate with them. So why
Yeah.
not stay?
Yeah.
So
If they
what?
already have a fear of any kind of crossing over, or they have anything that, an attachment to the earthly plane that they think like, oh, I need to do this or I can't leave this person. It just makes, if that energy is already in their awareness, it just
Mhm.
makes it easier to stay.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what about like a battleground, like the Civil War?
That is both, honestly. That's a residual and actual spirits because it was such a traumatic event that you do have the residual hauntings, the energetic recordings of it.
Hmm.
And then also you have the intelligent hauntings. So you have spirits that didn't want to leave.
Hmm.
So that those places are very intense to visit.
There's so much work to be done in the spirit world, isn't there?
Yes.
So can spirits actually be helped to cross over?
Yes, absolutely. And so the most beautiful experiences I've had involve that. Usually when spirits are stuck, best thing they need is reassurance and compassion. And sometimes
Hmm.
they need someone to acknowledge them and help them understand they're no longer physically alive. So a lot of times they don't even know they're past. They're
Wow.
stuck in this shame, guilt, anger, whatever they had when they passed, and they just are stuck. And so if you give them compassion and can let it go and you can feel peace, give them those reassurances, then they'll let go. And it's almost like a relief for them.
That sounds like beautiful work, Patty.
Yeah, and anyone can do this.
Hmm.
If you feel something and you just say, can you please go to the light? You can let go. You don't need to be stuck here. I mean, any person can just say that to the room and they'll hear you. I mean, it's not like they can't hear you at all.
So if anyone is sensing that they have a roommate of this sort, then they can just say those words and show compassion to them and ask them
Yes,
to go to the light
and let go and release.
and reassure them that it's a
And just
beautiful place.
yeah, and there's no judgment. Just reassure them that there's compassion and no judgment, and you're stuck here because of your own guilt, and you can let go. And they get so much relief from that. The homes suddenly feel lighter, and the activity stops, and the environment changes when they cross over.
If someone feels there's a spirit in their home, like we were just talking about, is there a safe way they could communicate or clear the energy themselves?
Yes.
What would be the first thing they need to do?
First, don't panic.
Mm-hmm.
The fear amplifies the energy. So by you having fear about there being a spirit there, it makes it worse because you're literally feeding it the energy and you're feeding that shame anger spiral. So stay calm and grounded, set strong energetic boundaries around yourself, use that spiritual protection, ground yourself, nothing can harm you, and speak firmly but compassionately. So you can literally say, this is my home. You are not allowed to stay here. You may move into the light. And prayer is very powerful. You can call on God, the angels, the guide to shift that energy. You can open up windows and change the energy of the home. Like what I said before, you can talk to them and be like, you can leave. There's nothing holding you here. No, this is my energy. This is my space. I would like you to move into the light. And some people use different things: music, light, laughter, cleansing, and the intention, whatever you use, just the intention matters the most. But one thing I don't recommend is trying to obsessively contact them. So, a Ouija boards. Oh my goodness,
Well,
no.
Oh, no, no, no Ouija board.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, 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 no,
We are
no.
staying away from those. That is a big no-no.
Yes.
That is just like opening up a portal and being whoever wants to come in comes in and take me over.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is just
Mm-hmm.
a free for all. We're not doing that. Like those, they have these apps or these things where you can communicate with them, which are
Oh.
fine, but that's still doing the same thing. The boundaries are extremely important. So as long as you have your boundaries up, they are not dangerous at all.
Well, that was
Uh,
my next question. I was going to ask you, are ghosts dangerous?
No, most are not dangerous. Most are simply human souls in distress. And like I said before, Hollywood exaggerates hauntings tremendously just for views. I do believe that, okay, so I do believe lower energies exist. We live in a world of polarity where there is light and there is dark. So that's why the Ouija boards are not safe. Using no protection when you contact the other side for any reason is not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are lower entities, just like there's higher entities, there's lower energetic vampires. There's people that souls that can attach to you and feed off your energy and change your thoughts and emotions and manipulate you. Definitely lower energies. But most, I would say 85% of ghosts are just us that are stuck.
Well, why do
So,
children and animals seem to notice spirits more?
because they're naturally spiritually open.
Babies.
I know. They haven't fully shut down their intuition yet. So up until
Mhm.
they're 6 to 8 years old, they haven't been conditioned by the world. They're just open and naturally intuition is just open. They haven't been shut down. They haven't been taught that it's wrong or it's scary, and they could just see and sense things. And animals are extremely energy sensitive. So dogs and cats, they can see things. They can see spirits. They're naturally psychic. So if you notice, you can see it like a cat staring in your corner of your room. They're looking at grandma.
Go get your sage.
But if it's grandma, you don't need sage.
This is true. Unless grandma brings a friend, you don't want that friend here.
And dogs too. Dogs can sense energies. So that's why I always, when you bring home someone and how your dog reacts to them, that's very good indicator of what kind of person they are. The cats are different than dogs. They're a little more, they walk in between the worlds and they
Yes, they're
protect
more
their
tuned
energy.
in.
Yeah, we'll have a whole nother podcast about that.
They say dogs protect you physically and cats protect you spiritually.
Perfect. Yes.
What do ghosts teach us spiritually?
They teach us that consciousness survives death.
Mm.
And I think that is so beautiful. They also teach us how important healing is while we're alive.
Yes.
So, to heal any regrets or grievances or anything that could not make us peaceful when we pass over. That's not a fear thing, like saying, "Oh, you'll probably become a ghost." Most of the time, I mean, think about it. There's millions of people that die every day in the world, and most of them will not become ghosts. Like we said in the last podcast, they go into the healing pods. They're taken to the healing pods and can heal their traumas. But unprocessed trauma like shame, hatred, addiction, emotional attachment, those things don't magically disappear the second we die. So
Hmm.
feel that while we're still alive is an important lesson from ghosts that they teach us. And I think spirits remind us how powerful love and forgiveness really are. And the most beautiful part of my experiences have been realizing nobody truly dies alone. There's always guidance, love, and support. And sometimes souls just need help finding their way back to the light. And we can help them with that. And there's nothing to be scared of. And I think there's so much more to this topic. I think almost everyone has experienced something paranormal at some point, and people are far more intuitive than they realize. And sometimes our loved ones or lost souls are much closer than we think. And so this is a good introduction to, what happens when we're feeling those paranormal experiences. What is that? It could be a residual, or it could be an actual intelligent soul that we can help cross over to the light.
Well, this episode was very fascinating and honestly emotional too. So thank you very
Yeah.
much, Patty.
You're welcome.
Make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who loves paranormal and spiritual topics.